So far, the highlight of my day is meeting you, Joy, in person. I love doing our stuff together.
Dude, I'm ready. Bring it. Where's the Rocky song? I'm ready. I'm ready.
This introduction I'm going to do is Hank Bagwell, who has made a movie. And he is here thanks to Marilyn Leisner, and some of you maybe know she brought Hank to East Palestine. So you have somebody else fighting for you. And Marilyn Leisner was the last governor of Times Beach, Missouri, when they were involved in all the dioxin contamination. So, Hank, here you go.
Hey guys. So I know most of you, well, I shouldn't say most of you, I know a lot of you. How's it going, Doc? I want to say this real quick. People ask me a lot, like what to do in certain situations. You know, 6 years ago I started making a film about the side effects of Agent Orange on the children and grandchildren of Vietnam veterans, which is how I met Marilyn Leisner, because activism is important. Telling your story is important, but it's also really important to get with people who really can fight for you. So one of the first questions people ask me when they find out that I do documentary work is about my politics. You left or you right? And I say, I hate them all. And but I want to point out something. People ask me what to do to be involved. And this fellow right over here doesn't even know I'm going to say this. And we're not really that tight. I just know I follow him and I see his stuff. He's actually makes a little cameo in the film. There's somebody who is fighting for you right there that's going to a place that can actually help. There's a lady in the back that I just met. There's people, if you want to really do something and get out and do it, your story is important. Canvassing neighborhoods, going up to places and going, hey, I'm so-and-so, I don't have a dog in this hunt, as my grandpa used to say, but I know a guy who's doing amazing things for us. And I just want to share my story with you and here, and maybe give this guy a look. So, Dr. Chai, thank you for all you're doing. I think what you're doing is quickly, it was really cool. When I came here, I wasn't planning on making a movie. Marilyn called me and said, hey, this guy is over there doing a lot of soil sampling and a lot of helping. He's getting harassed by officials. He's getting harassed by people that should not be harassing him. He wants me to come, and I'm a little scared. Will you go with me? And I think I'm just hillbilly enough that I was like, sure, why not? We'll go. So one thing that I found was encouraging was you guys were all recording things on your phones. When you went into meetings, you were recording things on your phones. When you were talking to officials, you were recording things on your phones. And I said, I'm going to make a movie on my phone. And Leslie Pacey with Government Accountability Project was right there, who was amazing, by the way, what she's doing for you guys. Yes, absolutely. Give her a round of applause. That's incredible. Had never made a movie in her life, and I said, give me your phone. And I set it where I was setting, I wanted to turn it sideways, I said, record everything like this. And I made her a filmmaker in like 3 seconds. And so I used a lot of her footage, I used my footage, I used, Chrissy shot me some stuff, Jake shot me some stuff. There was tons of people from the community who helped me make this film, and you didn't even know it. A woman named Barbara Hart, who I dedicate this film to in the back, you guys, at the end, if you guys don't know her, was a woman who believed in me. And she saw the work that I was doing, and she set me up financially in a place where I'm not beholden to anyone. I see a story, and I tell the story the way that I see that story being told. I'm not held accountable to government agencies, to a studio that tells me what I can or cannot make. I make what I see. And what I see is an amazing group of people who are struggling to find answers. And I want to tell you something, you're not alone. In this country, every 2 days we have a chemical accident. Every 2 days. And when you look at what happened, it started in the 1940s. I'll wrap it up here, I promise. In the 1940s in Nitro, West Virginia, they had an explosion at the Monsanto plant, right? And 1940s, they started having problems with something called chloracne, and they go on strike, and they're like, and the company's like, hey, we think we've got these problems, we're gonna know what's going on. Long story short is this, you're not alone, because this thing keeps happening over and over and over and over again. So how does it stop? It stops by continuing to be a voice, continuing to film things on your phone to hold people accountable, and it stops when you start putting people in places that can actually speak for you that matter. Okay? So that's it. I hope you enjoy this film. I worked really hard on it, and it's some people are not going to like it. If you're having some flashbacks from things, the events that happened, you may not want to watch this film. I am incredibly grateful to all of you and to Scott Smith, who this film is technically focuses on, but it's about you guys. And I want to thank you for helping me make it. And I want to say, just keep doing your thing and keep fighting, okay? Thanks, guys. Oh, and it's in low resolution. We had a problem getting high resolution, so it actually looks a little better than this one. It's low resolution.
The initial fire on someone's property, I testified. Just kidding.
Wow. Look at the business.
This lady here, that's Marilyn Leisner, the last mayor of Times Beach, Missouri, a small resort town along the Merrimack River just outside of St. Louis that the government bought out after some jackass contracted with a chemical company to dispose of their waste. He mixed that chemical waste with oil and sprayed the roads of Times Beach with its mixture. Scott Smith, the guy in the blue shirt, has been to over 60 chemical contamination disasters, and he's brought Marilyn here to talk with some of the people of East Palestine, Ohio, the site of one of the nastiest, most toxic chemical spills in history. One of its citizen whistleblowers gave me a 1,400-page EPA memo with a list of chemicals that were on board the train when it derailed, that the EPA is now removed from their website. According to their own documents, the EPA knew about multiple sites of chemical contamination for almost 10 years prior to warning the residents of Times Beach. If there's anyone who knows the EPA playbook, it's the guy in the blue shirt.
At Times Beach, the federal and state officials told us when the test results came back that they were under 100 parts per billion. We got their test results, and their test results were 1,200 parts per billion. We gave those test results to an AP reporter, and they published them. We asked them why they lied to us. They said they wanted to prevent people from being damaged economically, physically, psychologically, and socially, and they didn't want riots.
But they already did that. Yeah, they've done.
They used our lab after telling us there was no lab that could do it. We had already collected some money to test ourselves, and so they used that lab. Our test results came back on December the 13th, saying the dioxin was there, but we didn't have the money to say what the level was. Their test results came back on December 23rd. On December 23rd, they revealed those results at a Christmas party the residents that were in town had at our community center. And they again said, if you're in town, leave. Don't take nothing with you. If you're out of town, don't come back.
The chemical company that contracted with Norfolk Southern to haul the Rhine chloride showed up on February 4th to monitor the situation. They found and told them that the cars that Norfolk Southern and its contractors were wanting to burn to prevent possible explosion were already coolant and posed no further threat. The EPA would like you to believe that a lone local fire chief made the call to burn the derailed cars. They've repeatedly claimed that they were not involved in that decision. But why? Why wouldn't they be the lead in such a hazardous situation? Why would they rely on the very ones who stood to profit or minimize their liability? I asked the fire chief about this narrative, that he alone made this decision.
When I talked to the EPA, and I kind of poked them, I said, like, hey, who said light this up, like light it on fire? And they told me that you
That I did, of course.
Yes, and is that true or not?
That decision was discussed by the entire Unified Command, everybody in the room, all the stakeholders,
Now, who's unified command?
the US EPA, the Ohio EPA, the railroad, Governor DeWine, myself, EMA, all of the stakeholders and that had
A railroad.
All been able to show up.
everybody. Ultimately, I have to give the final yes or no because I'm the incident commander, but it was agreed upon.
So everybody said yes, and the EPA included.
So what happens when you light things on fire, especially chemicals? I asked a toxicologist specifically about the chemicals found in the train the night that it derailed.
In the fire in East Palestine, Ohio, it's incomplete combustion, which means it doesn't all get consumed, and that's what you see in the large plumes that are going up into the air, are the literally thousands of pounds of material that are not burned, but they're going up as particulate that can be inhaled and cause health problems. Vinyl chloride is a single chemical, and there were like 220,000 pounds of it in each of 5 cars. They're close to 1 million pounds. And when it's burned, when it's incompletely burned, it changes to at least 7 other chemicals. And these chemicals range from hydrochloric acid is one example, dioxins is another. But these chemicals have very serious short-term and long-term health effects. The hydrochloric acid is corrosive. You can burn your eyes and skin and lungs as you inhale it. There are several of the products from vinyl chloride that can cause cancer, long-term health effects in the liver, kidney, brain, etc.
Do you mind if I do a little film in here, brother?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't mind.
I don't like seeing myself on camera.
Oh, don't worry about it. This will be on a big screen soon. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no, never had a problem. All of a sudden, I didn't even know much. My wife thought she was walking the bathroom one day. She said, "What is this on your back?" I have no clue. I can't see it. Well, I went to the doctor. And he looked at it and he said, "We got to burn it out. We got to cut that out." And he's going to cut it out and send it away and find out if it's,
Okay.
no later.
But you've never had it before?
No. Put the dog up so it doesn't eat up these nice people.
Jonah's wife had been ill, and we know things are in their water. I took their soil samples the other day. So instead of taking a biopsy of their lungs or anybody else's lung health, the next best thing is a furnace filter to see what they've been exposed to so they can go to a toxicologist, medical doctor. And this is a furnace filter, and there's been no one else doing any furnace filter testing.
Right after the plume of chemicals settled in, likely on Bagwell, which was the same evening that they blew up those tankers. Okay, we were driving home and we saw the plume. We saw it like a fog all the way around our house. And we couldn't even roll the windows down in the car to breathe because it would choke us half to death. And so I told her, we can't stay here. We got to leave. And so we left. We stayed away for about 2 weeks, and eventually another 4 weeks. When we came back, we said, we can't really trust the water. We didn't have the water tested. So we talked to them folks on it. We said, go get your test done. We'll pay for it if you go get the test done. We did. The testing site was not capable of doing a really good test of any possible metabolite as a result of that controlled burn, that detonation of their chemicals. So Norfolk Southern said, we got people that we can have test your water. I said, okay, I'm good with that. So they sent somebody over to test it. They tested it once. It showed vinyl chloride in the water. They came back again. They tested it a second time. Still there was vinyl chloride in it. We were both having a problem. It's not safe. We shouldn't be drinking it, which we weren't doing anyway. But we probably shouldn't be washing our dishes or clothes or bathing in it. And they said, oh, it's okay. It's fine. We're fine. And so then they sent somebody from Michigan down to talk to us. And literally sent somebody all the way to Michigan just to talk to my wife and I. And she looked at all our results. She had it in front of her. She said, Mrs. Shealy, she said, I looked at your water. It's not that bad. I wouldn't drink it. I said, well, let me ask you a question. If we were your parents, did you tell your parents, if we were your parents, would you tell them it's okay to drink this water, to bathe in it, to cook with it, and do everything else? And she looked at me with a troubled look on her face and she said, buy bottled water, do not drink water.
And you can see me swabbing this twice. One swab is for SVOCs, and the other swab will be sent to lab for dioxins. This is an official protocol to sample what's on the surface. Needless to say, the EPA marked their own tape saying all my data want to see that come out. A past in light else. Good luck. Good luck.
So it might sound like the guy in the blue shirt has been to a few too many chemical disaster areas, that the fumes may have gotten to him.
He's been on the ground at every single major contamination, spill, explosion, accident.
Port of Stockton, California, Laurel, Montana, Santa Monica, California, and Eden, North Carolina, Aruba, Warrenstown, Charleston, West Virginia.
Just as he's been a fount of knowledge for Select, he's a fount of knowledge for a senator.
EPA and the railroad following people, monitoring their social media. The Government Accountability Project obtained emails from an EPA that make it not seem so crazy. Why are over 52 EPA agents being copied on the whereabouts of Scott Smith's location and his actions? Why is living in Barton Creek, who, besides having an EPA.gov email address, is basically a ghost, asking for Scott's personal address and information? Why the obsession from a major government agency on a civilian collecting soil and air samples for residents who are being denied help? Why do they need to know his address? Why do they need to know where he's at all times when he's in East Palestine? Why are they following him?
It's asking you if you're taking samples.
Have you taken samples?
I can't answer any of your questions.
You can't. Well, then why should I answer any of your questions?
We need someone who's coming and going on the site.
But this is private property.
I'm here.
You're standing on private property.
Everything that I've read in the newspapers and everything I've seen with the health effects of these residents, this is not something that was nothing to see here type event. Scott came in and he countered that narrative that the EPA in Norfolk Southern has been putting forth for so long, that the chemicals of concern are all within acceptable limits, that it's safe to live in the environment, it's safe to go back home. And this is not what residents are experiencing, and this is not what Scott has found out through his results.
Scott is doing testing that people can't get otherwise. The EPA can judge his results, he can judge his methods, and it's the only way he gets any kind of transparency. Whether people agree with what he's doing or not, you need to have things to move the needle on what matters to the people in East Palestine.
I had Michael Regan here in my home, the head of the US EPA, after I brought that to light, that the EPA agent wasn't honest about testing. Well, he acknowledged the chemical gas smell recorded.
Okay.
Sherrod Brown and Bill Johnson, Senator and Congressman, they acknowledged the chemical gas smell in my home too.
Did they test the filter the way Scott did?
No.
Nobody
I
did.
didn't even know you could test until Scott did.
Some said like fingernail polish remover with sweet added to it. To me, it was just a straight up burning. And when I say burning, when I came back into town to work, I would lose my voice an hour and a half into my shift. My balance would be off. I would stumble like I was drunk.
And tell us again where you were working. How close were you to the derailment?
I worked in Circle K.
Which is where?
Right on the main street of town. I was in between the railroad tracks and the creek.
Please pass on, we are here in good faith. I'm on the record in the media inviting the EPA and the railroad, specifically Will Burgess that signed the lease, to join me anytime for the benefit of the community to take samples. We would love anybody to join us.
The bigger picture is we want to expose what we've seen as a pattern of regulatory capture of the EPA in these disasters, of the responsible party, and the responsible party hiring its own contractors to do its work and then always coming up with non-detects or detections within, safe limits. It's just not an accurate reading based on the health symptoms and what Scott Smith is finding in his own testing.
All the time we see this. Track removals begun. Lovely, isn't it?
They had these air breakers placed in front of the tunnel, like right in front of my neighbor's house. I thought these aerators were doing drugs. Didn't realize they were gassing it.
How so?
They were lifting the chemical up from the craters, putting it into the air. So it was filling up my neighborhood with that smell. And after that, an EPA officer had told me, EPA agent, yes, had explained to me that those aerators should have never been placed in a residential neighborhood.
This woman is still displaced. Actually, her kids have to stay with her mother because she's staying in a hotel. This is what it came to is we are dying. We need our kids saved. You'll see on the right hand side, you'll see the million gallon tanks of contaminated water they have stored. And that's right here. This is all ground zero. That's all contaminated water.
I feel so sorry for these people. I can't stand to see these kids on the street. It's horrible.
It looks normal.
This community was awesome. That's why I moved here. I got 47 family members in the 1 mile zone, which are considered 1 mile zone. Where I live next to my best friend since we've been in diapers. It was awesome. I love this place.
But like what I'm saying is I don't understand like what you're worried about because everything is green, it looks beautiful. What's the problem?
Okay. I have a problem with my soil samples coming back positive for formaldehyde. I had my surface testing done. There was a chemical that came back, hexochlorine benzene, that was banned in 1966. Everything that what is different from here and different than Maui, in my opinion, is that you can see the permanent damage, you can see the deaths. What are we going to have in 5, 10, 15 years that is beautiful here? Who wouldn't want to live here? Quiet, everybody gets along, you know.
But like what, I mean, like I said, it's beautiful. What made you even want to think about getting your soil sample?
Because I knew something was wrong when my fiance was getting sores and blisters all over her bodies. When we had burning eyes, headaches, sore throats. I found 2 nodules on my tongue, or on my lungs. My liver enzymes went sky high. I tested positive first time for the metabolite for vinyl chloride. Then I started going to the cricks helping to film. And so I went and got another blood and urine test. It came back with the metabolite for vinyl chloride and benzene. The test results that came back from a friend so happens to have benzene in it. Everything that they're saying is not true.
What does it mean to have this guy here doing this for you?
Listen, this man is, I'm going to call him a savior for this community because we cannot get any testing done besides this man. Universities just came in and did a little bit of testing, but we still ain't even got the results back from the universities yet.
You're getting his back, but you're not getting the universities?
Yes, we're not getting the universities back.
This is a hexane solvent, so anything that's on there will be coming right off. I'm even doing the back of it, even though I don't have to.
Well, the thing is the EPA not testing.
And the thing is they accuse me of doing everything that they probably are doing. And you heard today, a soil sample from 4 feet down.
The EPA refuses to test our soil or our air in our homes. Refuses. We are not, and they'll say it right to your face, we are not testing your soil or your air.
I always hand the resident this, so everything is documented, and you'll see me filling out a chain of custody tomorrow where I reference the timestamp and the geotag and where I am. Right now I'm taking the soil sample. See how I'm taking it? Is the dust particles settled? They're not going to go much below a ½ inch. So if I want to game the system and get a false non-detect, I'm going to core 4 feet down.
So you send this to the same place that the EPA gets there as far as the EPA?
Well, yeah, it's your, if it's an EPA approved lab, and the EPA, that's a great question. When I've repeatedly invited the EPA publicly to test side by side and media asked some questions, the EPA said there's no need to test side by side with Scott Smith because he's using an EPA certified lab and we believe the lab results. What they question is my methodology, meaning why I'm sampling, where I'm sampling. And as you can see from the press release with the Government Accountability Project last week, I said, my work plan is simple. EPA refuses to test for a resident. Resident is reporting health symptoms. They call me, I test their property. That's my work plan. That's my methodology.
I can smell that.
You can smell the soil?
I can smell the soil.
Yeah, I can smell it too.
Wow.
This sounds like a really weird question, but do you get a weird taste in your mouth when you get over here?
Oh, it's a metal metallic?
Yeah, I'm tasting it. I'm tasting that, and I'm thinking I'm getting paranoid, but...
The back of my nose, my throat's on fire right now.
Now, why do you test for SVOCs versus VOCs for these?
Well, VOCs are the volatile organic compounds. And those dissipate, they're already going to be in the air. So the key is the surfaces.
Okay.
It's like the air you breathe, going into the atmosphere. And at a murder scene, I'm basically testing for the blood that is sticking to the wall. This is like a murder scene.
Tell me about the chemical pneumonia that you experienced in your nosebleeds recently.
Yeah, I've been in the creek, which is why I say the third event is the excavation could be worse than the first two, where I went back and I had chemical pneumonia. And then I came back the following week and did more, a lot of soil sampling and had nosebleeds. It couldn't be stopped.
Scott Smith, he might not be an engineer, but he does have degrees from Baylor and Harvard, and he does have like 25 patents. He's the only guy smart enough to be out there testing the topsoil and looking in people's furnace. This environmental Avenger thing doesn't work out. He's always got a career in HVAC.
EPA might question Scott's methods, but I have questions about theirs. Like, why were air monitoring systems set up during the burn, grouped and placed in large part upwind from the plume? Why do they continuously deny that they were, in fact, involved in the decision to light the fire, after being presented with evidence that the tanks were cooling and at no risk of explosion? It's hard to believe anything that the Unified Command says, while they hold the hands of the railroad and seem to be intentionally and strategically determined to produce, not detect.
Why don't we deserve to be protected? Why don't we deserve to know what's in our food? Why don't we deserve to know scientifically through data, through health risk assessment, exactly what people are exposed to daily? Why? This is not the end, it's only the beginning. You will start telling the truth.
You saw Dr. Rick Chai last night at the town hall and all that with the reporter Rich McHugh from News Nation. Those are water samples from all that.
What's the difference between the top shelf and the bottom shelf?
Top shelf are furnace filtered, and the middle shelf are soil samples, and the bottom is water.
So when you get those samples back, do you report them to the resident?
Yep, I go right to the residents.
Okay.
To put this into context, a lot of these samplers, that they take all these samples in teams of 4 to 6 people, and I'm just one person. And the whole process is I methodically set up a chain of custody, refrigerate everything, methodically set this up. Sometimes it's take 2 to 3 hours to write this up properly, go to FedEx.
You don't charge these people anything for this, do you?
No.
How much have you spent so far in?
Close to $100,000.
In testing?
Close to $100,000. And I had commitments from people to help with no conditions, and they already done. Lawyers have not reached out to test properly, so I've told the lawyers I'm not in the business of enriching lawyers. The community I do for free, so I'm just hoping to recover my out-of-pocket costs because I came here for 2 trips. As you heard me tell the story, Ken Beresford was on the 2nd trip, so you gotta come back. He passed away recently, and he said, you gotta come back. You're giving me hope for humanity, and I said the same thing to him, so I'm in all the way now. So if people around me make promises every day, don't want to step up and help, I have no choice. I'll figure it out.
So what happens now? Historically speaking, attorneys swoop in and sign up residents into some large class action lawsuit. They then reach a settlement, of which the attorneys take a gigantic portion of it. The offender carries on with unchecked business as usual, while the citizens are left with crumbs and lingering questions about their health and their future. East Palestine and its residents have a chance to be different. They are engaged in ways that give me hope. They are recording and documenting interactions on their phones and showing up to meetings to hold politicians and agencies accountable. Dr. Rick Chai, the chiropractor who wrote prescriptions for blood work when residents were denied by their healthcare providers, and the same guy who still walks the creeks exposing lingering contamination, is now running for Congress. They have allies in their fight to bring meaningful change. They have the information, the technology, the community of their friends and family. And they also have the guy in the blue shirt.